Hi YouTube, it is me. My name is Jennifer Fortune, and I am a survivor of narcissistic abuse, and narcissistic abuse is no joke. I don't think people understand the extent of a narcissist. I believe that they are truly demonic. I believe they are truly possessed and something takes over them and they have no control over their evil actions. When I was in my narcissistic relationship, right before I got pregnant, but right after right before I gave birth to our son, I was working at PetSmart, and I remember the week before I gave birth, I was sick. I kept throwing up, and I didn't know that meant signs of early labor. I didn't have a car at the time, and I could not stop throwing up. So they told me to go home. So I called my narcissist to pick me up because I didn't have a car at the time. And 1 hour passes, 2 hour passes, 3 hours pass. It's going on 4 hours. He's not there. The girl who told me to go home comes outside and goes, "You're still here? Why are you still here?" And as a narcissist victim, you are never going to snitch on them. You are always going to cover for them. You are always going to lie for them. But in the long run, it's going to make you look really bad. Because you covered for them so long and you allowed them to treat you any kind of way. When I gave birth to our son in the hospital, he was there in an hour. And on the way to the hospital, he was almost coming out, and of course the nurses had to stop and get chicken, but he was so messed up on drugs, I don't even think he even remembers the birth of our son. It was our first child together, but it was his first child. And when we got out of the hospital, we were on the way home, and we had our own house. It was his parents' house, the pastor's house, and I paid the rent, which was $775 a month. I paid the electric, I paid the water, I paid the cable, I paid for the Ashley's furniture, I paid for our cell phone bills. And with the narcissist, you not only do pay for everything, you do everything as well, as in the cleaning, the cooking, the laundry. I remember we didn't have a washer, so I would always gather up all the clothes once a week, take them to the laundromat, not only go do all that by myself, pay for it by myself, wash them, dry them, fold them, load them back up and take them home, put them in the house, and put them all away. With the narcissist, you will never have any help. They sure don't mind taking advantage of you. And he was very, when I say abusive, I mean abusive. The abuse got so bad. The verbal was very bad. I don't know what's worse, the physical. I want to say the verbal was worse than anything. I used to have bruises right here. And I remember one day at work, it just got so hot, I rolled my smock up, because I was a groomer. It was like a waterproof vest thing that you zip up, and I forgot it was there. And I knew people knew. People kept asking me questions like, what was going on? You're acting different. You're not the Jennifer we know. And I wouldn't make up an excuse like, oh, a dog kicked me. And I used to have bruises all up and down my legs all the time, everywhere around my neck. Oh my God, everywhere. I had bruises. I had a black eye, I had black lips, around my neck, around my arms, all up and down my legs. My hair had holes in my head from missing hair. And everybody used to ask people at my work, his family, my family. I remember one time, his sister asked, why did I have all these bruises? She kept pressing and pressing. And I was like, no, he's not touching me. No, stop. Nothing's going on. You need to stop. You need to leave it alone. It was me, his mother, and then his sister. And she said, I'm not going to stop until you tell me, because I know he did it to you. And I said, okay, yeah, he did. And that was right before I got pregnant with our son. And she turns and looks at his mom, the pastor's wife, and goes, this is your fault because you allow him to do whatever he wants. And then they're arguing, and I said, see, this is why I didn't want to say anything. And I'm crying. And the mom looks at me and goes, you be quiet, you bitch. And I remember, and then she calls the pastor. She's calling everybody to come over to cause a scene. She would do this purposely all the time to embarrass me. One, to embarrass me for speaking up. Two, just to embarrass me because she knew I didn't like the attention on me. And three, she acted like she liked me, but I think she was jealous of me the whole time me and her son were together. It is what it is. And I remember I told my narcissist at the time, I said, yeah, your mom called me a bitch. Oh yeah, no. And then the brother came home at the time. This is when he was alive. And I said, you don't ever believe anything I say. I say your parents talk to me like this. They do this to me. We used to argue all the time because he would always take his parents' side no matter what. And the brother said, yeah, mom called Jennifer a bitch. And he was like, oh. And then that was that. Nobody ever took up for me. I always had to defend myself. But then after our son was born and I was leaving the hospital with my narcissist said, Jennifer, my dad, the pastor, said that we got to move in with him. We can't live in his house anymore. And I said, why? And I bawled, cried, and I said, please, I said, this is a demand. This is a no, a direct no. I am not moving in the house with your parents. I don't want to be there. Because they allowed him to treat me that way, and the narcissist allowed his pastor parents to treat me that way, and I didn't want to be there, and they kept acting like my son was their child, and it would make me mad. And I told them, I said, I'm not moving in their house. And then we moved in, and I didn't want to be there, and I believe they wanted us to move in. It was their house. I never signed any papers or anything, so I couldn't say no. Either I moved in there, and the moment I moved in there, they was always giving me the hardest time, the runaround, and I didn't have a car at the time. But the narcissist didn't have a car either, but I had my license, but he didn't. But he could drive the car anywhere he pleased, and it was because he was working for their company, and for some reason they always thought they were above the law. So we moved in their house. It was one thing after another, and the night we got home, I said I wanted to pick up my check from work because I wanted some money and I wanted us to go out and eat dinner. I'm about to cry because I want to smack myself because, I just needed a minute. Because, you want some freedom after you get out of the hospital for like 3-4 days. For days. I think I was in there like a week. I was in there for a week. And I wanted to go out. I wanted to get my check. And the narcissist went up to my work, told them I said to pick up my check. And they gave it to him. But I did that plenty of times before for him. I told them that he's coming up there and going to pick up the check. But I didn't this time, and he didn't tell me. He always would take my stuff, my money, any and everything I had, all the time. He would take everything I had, and he cashed it. And I remember I kept saying, let's go get my check. I want to go out to eat dinner. I've been stuck in the hospital, and I couldn't leave for like a week. I want to go. Because they said my son was premature, so he had to stay in the hospital. And I stayed in there with him. So when we got home, we had to move in his parents' house, and I was very, very upset because they're very strict. It's their way or it's no way, and they use the pastor thing as an excuse. This is our house. You can't watch the ID channel. You can't watch HBO. You can't watch nothing. And it was always fussing and fighting in his house, and it was always, nobody took responsibility. It was always, your fault, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. I did this because you did that. And I just was trying to enjoy my time with my newborn son. I took 3 months off for maternity leave, and in that house you won't sit down even though I just gave birth. And then when we lived there, it was like a week or a few days after I got out of the hospital, they said that they were going to go to my house, but it was their house, but my house. I paid all the bills there was. And when I'm not saying it's my house. I know it's not my house, but I mean as in I paid the rent there, so my house, And they would get mad and say, "It's not your house, it's my house." I'm like, I'm not saying it's my house. I don't pay the mortgage. I'm paying the rent, which this is not my car until I pay it off, but it's my car. You know what I'm saying? And they would always get mad and always twist my words, and I got really uncomfortable around them, so I never wanted to stay around them. I would always lock myself in my room, and then they would say I was weird for locking myself in my room. And then I kept wanting to leave the house, and I couldn't leave the house. I didn't have a car. I think I had a phone, but I didn't have any money to pay my cell phone bill. I thought my childhood was rough, y'all. And they went to my house, and when I tell you, they might as well took the whole entire house off the ground and threw it in the dumpster. They threw all, and I said, let me go to my house, I want to pick my stuff out. And they was like, no, you stay here with the baby, you don't need to be going out. And I said, it's fine. And then the mom kept saying all these excuses, like, no, you're breastfeeding. I said, he can bottle feed too. Like, I don't have enough breast milk to feed him. He bottle feeds too. Like, you can go over there, do whatever you want. I said, just watch him for an hour or so. Just let me grab my stuff. Because literally the only thing I had was a suitcase that I left the hospital with. I didn't have anything. When I tell you they threw all my clothes away, they threw my Ashley's furniture away. They threw all my jewelry away. They threw all my important papers away. When I tell you they threw everything away, they threw my diploma away. They threw my yearbook away, my antique stuff, any and everything that meant anything to me. Everything. Just they threw everything away in the house. But they took what they wanted and they kept it for themselves, like it won't mine. That's the type of people they were. And I remember I cried over, I swear to God, they purposely made me cry. And they stopped by their house and they had the dumpster. And I said, oh my God, this is my stuff. I said, what are you? I said, I know you're not taking this to the dump. And my boyfriend, the narcissist, said, yeah. And I said, this is my diploma. You're taking my diploma to the dump. I said, oh my God, this is my yearbook. You're taking my yearbook to the dump. I said, this is my ultrasound pic. Like, what are y'all doing with all my stuff? Like, why are y'all doing this to me? And then they said that I cried then. I was upset then. And then it was always trying to use my child against me. Like, oh, Jennifer, you can go hang out at your sister's house today and then come back. And then scream and yell at me because I said I was going to my sister's house and I said, me and my son are going to my sister's house. My sister picked me up and she said, we're going to go to BJ's. We're going to go out to eat. They were so mean. They were so mean. They did stuff like this all the time. It was a mental mind game with them. And I said, yeah, my sister's gonna pick me up, my twin. And we're gonna go to it was Sam's Club. We were gonna go to the grocery store. And she said, well, and then the pastor's wife said, well, since you're going to the grocery store, I need you to return this roast beef for me because it's bad. And I said, okay. And I said, all right, I'm taking my baby. She said, no, keep the baby here. And this is how she talks. You keep the baby here, honey. Just keep the baby here. And I said, no, he can come with me. I said, I'm going to be gone for a while. I said, I told you all these places I'm going and I'm going to hang out with my sister. It said my video is going to stop. And I was so upset. I was so upset because when I got back, as soon as I walked in the door, I was happy to get out of the house. I swear to God, they didn't want me to have no freedom, and I don't know why. They were so mean and evil to me. As soon as I walked in the door, she got in my face, where are you? And I said, what do you mean? She said, you know what you did. You left me here all day with your son. And I said, you begged for me to keep my son here with you. I said, you begged me to keep my son here with you. I said, I told you I was getting out of the house. I said, I haven't been out of the house in over a month. Couldn't do nothing. Didn't go to work. Won't let her have friends. And if we left the house, we had to tell them bye, like a servant. And when we got in the house, we had to say hi because that was their rules. I'm a pastor. This is my house, and you're going to do what I say. You greet me hi, and you greet me bye. When you come and go in this house, and this is my house, and I can do what I want. I'm going to tell you not to do it, but I can do it. And don't you dare question me. These people were evil. Acting one way in public and then behind closed doors, evil as shit. So, I was on drugs before I even got pregnant, and then I stopped when I was pregnant with our son. But not long after, now I know why. Everybody in the house, it was the pastor, the pastor's wife, me, my narcissist, and the brother, who is no longer on this earth. They were all on drugs, and then I got on drugs. And when I tell you I was on very heavy drugs, the strongest opiate you can take. And when I tell you the house was dark, it was oppressive, it was depressing, it was oppressive. Nothing like a pastor. It felt evil in that house. Now I know why they all did what they did. They would cover for each other, lie for each other, and everything was my fault. Whenever something went wrong, it was my fault. I had to say sorry for falling asleep because I was so tired taking care of my newborn that I couldn't clean the whole entire house, that I couldn't wash your underwears. I got back on drugs because when things got hard in that house, my ex would always pull out the stuff, and I took it. We weren't allowed to spend no time together. My ex had to sleep downstairs on the sofa, but he was the breadwinner in the house at this time. I slept in his room upstairs with my son. every night when the pastor and the pastor's wife would go to bed, I would go downstairs because we weren't allowed to spend no time together. And one night I took too much, but my tolerance was so high. I didn't even feel anything. I wanted more. But my narcissist, was laying on the couch, and I think he fell asleep, but I just wanted to be with him, but he never wanted me to cuddle him. And I think it's because how it is in that house. There is no love, and affection is weird. So he was on the sofa, I was on the love sofa, and I was laying back, and I remember I was just, my son's sleeping, it's a good night. The pastor and his wife's asleep, they're not going to bother me, I can watch HBO. So I turned the TV on, and I think I always gave my ex a kiss goodnight. And I went over to the love sofa. My knees were up because it was a love sofa. You couldn't lay out, but I had the pillow behind my head, and I grabbed the remote, and I remember I turned something on TV. I turned on HBO. I don't remember what I turned on, but as soon as I turned it on, I was tired. So I was like, I was drifting off. Y'all, I died. I went to hell. I didn't know I was dead. I thought I fell asleep. When I tell you, when I got to hell, I was walking. It was no time. Time stood still. It was very quiet. There was no time. It was very dark. When I say pitch black dark, it was like this dark black. You couldn't see nothing. It was just infinity of blackness. And I don't know if my intuition kept telling me to keep walking, or if there was like a force telling me to walk. But I kept walking. I was walking and walking. I don't know how long I was walking. I was walking a while. And then in the far distance, I saw a light. And as I'm walking, I get up on it. It's a fire pit. And then I'm walking more, and there's another fire pit. And I see a bunch of other small lights in the distance. There's a fire pit. And I'm getting closer to something, because now there's fire pits everywhere. And then I'm walking, and then you can kind of see a big thing of something. And then it became big piles of coins, gold coins, piles, mountains of them everywhere. An infinity of darkness, no time, no nothing. Fire pits everywhere. And I'm walking, and next thing you know, I walk up on the devil. He's sitting there on this big pile of coins. He's sitting in a big pile of coins. He was a man. His body was a man, but his hands were hooves. His feet were exactly hooves, but he had legs like me and you. He had a head like me and you, and he had horns. And he had a black cape, not a red cape, and I don't think he had a shirt on, but I think he had pants on. I can't really remember what his face looked like, but it was a man for sure. And I had my hands behind my back like this, just standing there like this. I never saw my body, so I don't know if it was just my spirit, but in the spirit, it was just me. How I am now, my personality, how I talk, how I think, how I act, how I everything. And I walked up on him, and it felt like the gates of hell, but there was no gates. And I felt like I was being judged, but I wasn't being judged. And I walk up on him, and I'm looking at him. The whole time I got my hands behind my back. I don't even know if I had a body, because I never saw myself. But I had my hands behind my back. You know, I was just like, like how I am now, like, and he kind of leans forward, and he looks at me like this. Like, and the whole time I got my hands behind my back, and he starts talking, and I'm answering back. But when we're talking, we're not using our mouths, we're using telepathy, or third eye, or whatever you want to call it. And, he goes, and the whole time I'm just standing there like, I feel like I'm being judged, but I'm not being judged. And he goes, why are you doing bad in life? But and I said, I don't know. And he said, that smirk. Ooh, I don't like that smirk like that. Okay, you don't know. Why are you doing bad in life? And I said, I don't know. And he said something, I don't remember what he said. And he said, why are you doing bad in life? And I said, I don't know. And then he said, do you want to come here? And I said, and then he said, no, really, I would love to have you here with me. And he said, and I was just like, and I didn't say nothing again. And then he said, I would love to have you here with me. And I said, and since I didn't say nothing, he said, I would love to have you here with me. I didn't say nothing again. And then he said, well, I would love to have you here with me. And I said, and he said, would you like to come stay with me? And I said, no, I don't want to stay here. And then he said, why are you doing bad in life? I said, no, I said, I didn't know a bad person. I said, I never hurt anybody. And he said, well, why are you here? He says, because you overdosed, and you hurting yourself is hurting people. And I didn't know what he meant by that at the time. And he said, well, and then he looked at me and had that little mischievous smirk to him. He did, just like that. And then he leaned back. And once he leaned back, me and him just looked at each other like this. And it was like he respected me because I wasn't scared. I was nervous, but I wasn't scared. He respected me for not showing fear. I was calm like I always am. Like, I don't know. Why are you here? I don't know. Why are you doing bad in life? I don't know. Would you like to stay? Come here? No. You're doing bad in life. You might not be hurting nobody, but you're hurting yourself, which is hurting others. And then he leans back and we kind of stare at each other just like I did when I first walked up. And then next thing you know, the sky opens up. It's like a bright sky day, blue skies with clouds. And I look up. Right when I look up, my ex is right there. And I wake up and I'm back in my body. And my ex is shaking me. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. And I look at him and I go, oh my God. And he was like, you were just choking. He was like, you were dead, you were dying. And I said, I just had the weirdest dream. I said, I'm so cold. When I tell you I woke up, I was cold, ice cold, like bone chilling cold. Like I put 3 blankets on me and I was shivering and my face was white. And I remember when I woke up, I said, I remember doing that and my lips were blue. And he was like, you were overdosing, you were overdosing. And I said, I had the weirdest dream. He was like, you was choking. He said, oh my God. He said, and he took me in the bathroom. And I don't know, he put water on my face. He took me in the kitchen, and he made me drink water. And I said, I felt fine though. I didn't even know. Like, it didn't hurt when I went to hell. I just thought I went to sleep. I thought I was having a dream. But it was real. I remember it, every step of it. It was real. It was infinity of darkness. Nothing but lust and greed and evil in hell. And that smirk the devil kept doing. Ooh, I've seen my narcissist do it. I've seen the pastor do it. I've seen my psychopathic ex do it. I cannot stand that smirk. That is people who go, that's evil. They got something in them. And I didn't understand what he meant at the time, the devil, when he was saying, you might not be hurting others, but you're hurting yourself. I didn't understand until years after that, that you might not steal, lie, cheat, or hurt anybody, but you hurting yourself is hurting others, which is a sin, because people love you and you're hurting people. You ever had anybody in your life who kept hurting themselves and you wanted to get them help and they just wouldn't get it together and it hurts you? They're sinning by doing that. And if you're on drugs, I'm telling you, it's going to be the death of you. It was a miracle that I came back to life. I don't even know how my ex woke up, unless I was choking that bad or God woke him up, or I don't know, because every time he goes to bed, he never wakes up. He never wakes up. So it's just kind of weird to me how he shook me back to life and the sky opened up and the devil just leaned back when he knew I was leaving. He was like, well, she's gone. And I turned my life around after that. I got clean. I slipped up a few times. And then I got pregnant with my daughter not long after that, and I slipped up before I had her too. And I know for a fact if I did not get pregnant with her, I wouldn't be here today. So I really believe everything happens for a reason. And I'm telling you, heaven to hell is real. It's real. I wasn't scared in hell, but I just knew that there's an afterlife, and you think nobody's watching you. I promise you. The devil is a liar. You cannot do what you want on this earth, because even if you get away with it on this earth, on the other side, you're not going to get away with it. So you really should treat people how you want to be treated, in the good way. Because because there's angels and demons around us every day, all day. It's really up to you to decide, you know, what you want to do in your life. I didn't even know. I thought my tolerance was so high. I thought I could handle it. Everybody in that house overdosed, and we all came back. But the next time, there might not be a next time. It was really bad in that house, and I think it all changed us as as people. But that was my near-death experience. If y'all have one, I would love to hear. I learned my lesson, and I'm still making my wrongs right to this day, because I was not a good person back then. Peace, love, and light. Y'all have a good night.